Hello, I'm CL. I'm an eclectic Wiccan high priestess, and today we're talking about how to set up an altar. So, the first step is to sort of know what kind of things you need for your altar. Now, this is one area where people tend to criticize modern Wicca because there tends to be a lot of stuff involved in Wiccan practice, but it's absolutely not necessary. The magic is inside of you, not inside of any tool you have. That said, the more you work with whatever tools you use regularly on your altar, the stronger the connection you have with them will be. So don't worry about buying something right away or finding the exact perfect athame or candle holders or whatever. The right thing will come to you at the right time. And if you already have something you love, then use that. That connection is going to be stronger than anything you buy online. So, organizing your altar. So we generally have a sort of north, south, east, and west. Oops, I did that reversed. East and west borders of your altar, and you would align your altar in the north, or you could maybe face it to the east or the south, depending on what kind of a ritual you're doing. But on the altar itself, north is going to be at the top, and south will be at the bottom. So we have a goddess side and a god side of our altar. The goddess side has the feminine elements, and the god side has the masculine elements. So I'm doing quotes because we all know that gender is not a strict one or the other, but it's more flowing, just like in nature. So earth and water are our feminine elements, and air and fire are our masculine elements. And we sort of orient these, close to where they actually are. I don't like to have my north salt at the top and fire candle at the bottom because I'm much more likely to set myself on fire by reaching back and forth over candles. I speak from experience. I have done that many times. So fire safety is an important part of a Wiccan practice. Speaking as someone who has set their ritual robes on fire during ritual more than once, always make sure that you're being very careful with any candles you have lit, and have something nearby to put out a fire just in case. Better safe than sorry. And, organize your altar in such a way that you don't need to reach over a candle at any point. Just good common sense. So, we have our goddess candle up on the left side of our altar. We have the god candle up on the right side of the altar. Earth and water are going to be on the goddess side, air and fire on the god side. And you can sort of put them towards the southern part of our altar. And east air, a little bit more towards the east side. Likewise, my salt is more towards the north and water is more towards the west. Now, the actual tools you're using on the altar, you can use different things. For example, if you can't burn candles at all or incense, don't worry, you can use plenty of other things to represent those elements. You can use feathers for air, you can use flowers, you can use any kind of herbs, crystals, any decorative objects, anything you like that has the appropriate colors or the appropriate meaning, or that you have a strong connection to. For example, you could have a framed butterfly to represent air, or you could paint a little painting of what fire means to you and have that on your altar. So we've got our four elements, and we've got them sort of situated close to the actual directions they're representing. Next, the god and goddess candles. So these won't always be on your altar 100% of the time. It really depends on what kind of ritual you're doing. So for just a standard ritual, one for the goddess, one for the god. But you can absolutely do rituals with, let's say, the triple goddess for Hecate, or maybe something for the Ostara spring equinox. You might have a maiden mother crone candle instead of one for the male and one for the female. I like to have a little goddess image. I've had this since I was first initiated as a priestess back in 2003. So this is always on my altar, no matter where I am. I have a little triple moon thing that I made a few years ago that I like to, just a little decoration. So our next required tool is our chalice. So chalices are used to represent the sacred feminine. Again, there are some gender politics at work here, but if we just think about it in terms of ancient cultures, biology, woman representing a womb, fertility, birth, and rebirth, those sorts of things. The chalice represents the female, and the athame, or I'm using a quartz crystal here, represents the male, the phallic, the sort of masculine principle. And those can just hang out in the center of your altar. You'll probably be using your athame during ritual, so I like to keep it at hand, away from the candles. If you have an offering, for example, some little food to eat after your ritual, or anything that you might be giving to the gods as part of your ritual, that would also be in the center. If you have a cauldron, that would just be on the sort of goddess portion. If you have a wand or anything else, on the god portion of your altar. Any other tools you need, that can be at the edge, somewhere where you won't drop them or cause a disaster. I like to have my little candle snuff nearby. It's more polite than to blow out the candles. And I also like to have oil for anointing. So I'll leave those in the middle most of the time. All right, I think that covers everything. Let me know if there's something I missed, or if you have any questions, drop me a note at any time. Happy to help. And on that note, I will say merry meet and merry part and merry meet again.